The time has come to speak on Kenshi. Kenshi was a top 2 character in this game. He was considered to be top 2. He was one of the best, one of the strongest, one of the most broken characters in this game. Some characters, they could not fight Kenshi. If you were to look at his matchup chart, Kenshi, it was very common for him to have 7-3s and 8-2s. It was common to see 7-3 matchups and 8-2 matchups in his favor. And he destroyed some characters so badly that he even had a couple 9-1s, which a 9-1 is basically the worst possible case scenario a matchup could be. You don't count 10-0 because there's always a chance to win. But he even had some 9-1s. The thing about Kenshi is just some characters could not fight him. And see, he wasn't a character that wanted to zone you from here. Even though he could hold his ground from zoning from full screen, that wasn't his best spot. So he didn't want to zone you from full screen. He wanted to zone you exactly from here. Right from here. Right outside sweep distance is where Kenshi had the best tools and options. And many characters, most of the characters, couldn't really touch him if you played properly, if you played on point. So mid-range, he was an extremely broken zoner for mid-range from right here. A lot of characters just could not compete and throw out normals or hit him. And one of the main culprits for him being so dominant in mid-range and being such an insane zoner right here was he had a move called Spirit Charge, this move. And this move is an 8-frame attack. 8 frames. That means this move comes out faster than some characters' down 1s. And look at the range on it. It's an 8-frame move, comes out insanely quick. It's a mid, so you can't even duck it. And the worst part is on block at point blank, it's -9. Meaning, because of the pushback on it, a character like Johnny Cage's 4-3, which is a 9-frame advancing mid, can't even punish this from point blank because of the pushback. Like, it's literally like a just frame, and you're going to miss it most of the time. If he does it off a string or something with increased pushback, forget about it. You're not going to punish this character, and he's always going to keep you outside his range. So this move also had variable frame data, obviously, because it was a move that had a lot of distance. So if you blocked it from max distance, like up to here, it was even safer than being -9 from blocking it point blank. From here, this range, it was like -2, -3. So he could really machine gun this out. And if you look at the startup and the speed, it's almost like whiffing a jab. Literally, it's like whiffing a jab in this game, but it's a special move that comes out in 8 frames. It's a mid. When you block it, you just keep getting pushed back, pushed back, pushed back. You can't really get your turn versus this. And the only way to fight Kenshi was you had to jump against him. Because if he zoned you out and he had the life lead or was chipping you while doing this in footsies, the only way for you to approach him was he had 2 options. You either had to make a read and jump when he was going for a special and pray that he wasn't waiting there and then answering you for full combo, or you have to take a step back and try to whiff punish him when he's doing this. But that was, a lot of characters didn't really have that option because, like, Sub-Zero was going to do what? Walk back and throw an ice ball? Walk back and do a slide? Walk back? His ice ball isn't that quick enough to whiff punish this. You'd have to make an absolute hard read to do that. And even then, if you guess wrong, Kenshi could just duck under it, punish you. If you do a slide, you guess wrong. The risk reward here for Kenshi, it was always in his favor pretty much for you playing his game. You could not get next to him. To make things worse, he also had a 50-50, a safe 50-50. So he had a low, this is 4-3-2. It's a low to mid, safe hit confirmable low string. There's a gap between it. There's a 2-frame gap. So if you did have armor and you did read it, you could blow up to interrupt it. But the stagger safe on block, so you could just do that and bait you, or he could just do this into this. That didn't have a gap and it pushed you back. It was pretty much safe. So if this hit you, pretty much got a very simple combo. Then knocks you back, and then he goes back into his position just to out-footsie the hell out of you and zone you and keep you out of his grasp while he's chipping you to death. He also had an overhead, back 2. This was a very good overhead. It had a disjointed hurt box. It was 0 on block for some reason. I don't know why, but it was 0 on block. It had pushback on it. So because it was 0 and you recovered at the same time, this was literally a frame trap. You couldn't jump over that. Shoulder hitbox was so big and came out so quick. You couldn't jump out of that, and if your poke didn't reach, well, you had to just hold this after that. So off back 2, he could do a special 8-frame, and that was actually a frame trap. He had an upward karma move. This move was very hard to punish. It was about a -15 on block, and it also had pushback. So Sub-Zero even would have trouble punishing this from this far. And it's also a mid, and it launches. So it's a little bit more unsafe than his Spirit Charge. But it covers more vertical range on its hitbox, and it launches you. So if you get hit by this, he gets a quick combo. And yeah, a lot of characters cannot punish this. He could just do things like just throw this out for max range, and if you jumped or something, you get hit by it, and it was very easy to abuse in many matchups. He also had Teleflurry, and this was mainly used from full screen. On trade, if you traded with this move, it was like plus 1,000,000. Let me see if I can demonstrate that for you guys. Sub-Zero throw an Ice Ball. I'll trade. You see how Sub-Zero stuck like that? It was plus like 70 on trade. So pretty much every projectile in the game almost on trade, Kenshi would still be able to recover in time and hit you. So by doing this. And this move would track wherever your opponent is. No matter where they are, if you just do backward 3, it tracks them. It is a high, so you can duck this. And then he had an overhead move, this move, and he had 3 different versions. He had close, medium, and far. This was an overhead, and of course, just like most of his specials, this being completely safe and being a high, this was also completely safe on block. This was like -5 on block, so this was unpunishable. It was pretty quick for an overhead special. Did decent chip, 2%. So he had some moves used from full screen, but here's where Kenshi was just at his best. You could not contest him in neutral. And now to make things even 100 times worse than it already looks like, because you have to jump at this character and you have to like stay at that range and try to whiff punish this, which was next to impossible for so many characters. His EX versions on his specials, he had some of the most broken EX moves in this entire game. So this normal move, 8 frame startup, -9 up close, and variable frame data, super insane pushback, mid, super fast, enormous hitbox. The EX version was 8 frames, went twice as far. The range was literally almost full screen. It went twice as far as the regular shoulder, and it was +8 on block. So whenever you block this, that was a frame trap. So whenever you block that, you have to block the second one, and look how far you are now. Now you have to literally get in again. So anytime you got in on Kenshi, you can literally just do any poke into this, and then he gets a frame trap. And if you're sitting there blocking, waiting for the Spirit Charge, Kenji's would sometimes just do a 50-50. Because you know, you can't move, you're sitting there waiting for that. And if you weren't ready for this, well, you have to block 50-50. And anytime you got hit by his 50-50, you have to get in again. So this move was one of the most broken EX moves. It had armor even. This was literally a move with hyper armor, meaning it absorbs infinite hits while it's active. Hyper armor, +8 on block, no risk, gives you frame traps on block. It does double chip, it does 4% chip, and then that builds you meter. This in total 6% chip. One of the most broken moves in the game. And in the corner, it got even worse. In the corner, if you got hit by this, oh, he got a full combo off it. Now you were losing life for getting hit by this, because he could do a down one into launcher, and then you would lose over 30% of your life off a plus on block 8 frame advantage launcher in the corner. And this move you just cannot jump at. If you try to cross him up, it was always an easy anti-air. And he could actually convert if he hit you quick enough like that to do an even extra unbreakable damage that would do 1/5 of your life. And now he even had an even dumber armor move. His EX Rising Karma, this move, had armor also. So now not only does he have 2 armor moves that are insanely abusable, now he has an armor launcher. When he got hit by this, he always got a combo after this, no matter what. And this move, just to show that it has armor, put Sub-Zero to do an Ice Ball again. Armor. This move, look at the pushback on this. You get pushed back almost half screen for blocking this. So it's doing like a string like this and just doing it pushes you back half screen. It's 0. I'm gonna have him hold up. We both recover at the same exact time. This is plus. Obviously it's +8. And she jumps way sooner than Sub-Zero. But this was 0 on block. He had a 0 on block, a neutral on block armor launcher. A neutral on block armor launcher. He could just do this off anything. A poke. You had a gap, he didn't care. He was armoring. There was no risk. You block it, it's not even minus. It puts you back in his ideal range, and now you have to get in again, and he's just building meter non-stop. It was so difficult to catch this character without bar. And him having 2 of the most broken EX moves in this entire game, EX Push, EX Rising Karma, the way that he could just play footsies and zone and just keep you out of his range, like I said, if you were to look at Kenshi's matchup chart, it would make you probably throw up. the amount of 8-2s and 7-3s he had, and then he had a couple 9-1s. The character was extremely broken. He even had more winning matchups in an absurd manner than Cabal. Cabal in this game didn't lose to anybody, but Cabal had more 6-4s than Kenshi. Kenshi, if you were to tally up every character's matchup chart to see who had the most amount of winning matchups, if you were to add up Kenshi's 7-3s, 8-2s, the 9-1s, Kenshi actually had the most amount of winning points when it came to matchups. So if you were to do a tier list by amount of how much points you dominate the cast through, Kenshi would technically be the best character in the game. But I consider Cabal the best, and most people do because he doesn't lose to anybody. Kenshi only had one matchup that was difficult for him, and it was Cabal. Because one of Kenshi's only weaknesses was he was a large hitbox character. And when you're a large hitbox character against Cabal, you're prone to his rush down. But aside from that, Kenshi could fight anybody. He could fight Freddy, which was 5-5. He had to fight for mid-screen, while Freddy had to fight to stay full screen. He could fight Kung Lao 5-5 because he had the best answers to get out of pressure. All his armor moves. So Kenshi was one of the top 2 most broken characters in this game. Like I said, if you watch any high-level Kenshi gameplay in this game, most of the match, you see the other person trying to get in, just trying to get in close to him. And just having no shot. And anytime they get in, that is immediately shut down with one of his multiple safe armor attacks. And this move also had armor, by the way. I just forgot to mention it. Kenshi has so many armor moves, I lost track. And also, before I end the video, I have to mention this. You probably looking and going like, okay, Kenshi is dumb as hell in neutral. I cannot play footsies or neutral versus him. He'll just keep me at mid-range all day. Like, I cannot move. I'm going to have to jump. I'll just go back and zone him then. Screw playing footsies. I'll go back. I'll throw shit at him. See, Kenshi had a parry in this game. And if you try to throw something at him, he had a 1-frame reflect. Think of Smoke's projectile parry. This is that, but it reflects it back at you. So if you were Sub-Zero and you're like, I'm going to stay back, whiff something, and I'm going to wait for him to whiff something, throw something, he could just be like, no, 1 frame. And now you're frozen and you're going to die. So he made people have to play like the footsie game with him. That's why this character was so dominant. Any kind of answer you thought that you would have versus Kenshi, he always had something to stop that and make you play at his footsie range and just zone the shit out of you at this mid range. This was basically Kenshi in this game, and look at one of the most broken, actually no, the most broken mid range zoner NRS has ever created. And thank you so much for watching. See you again in the next video.